out now. Unfortunately, the draft is already done. So, yeah, they kind of went through it all. We had a little bit of issues. EU's having, I don't know, some kind of hissy fit this morning. But, you know, we've powered on through it, and we do have our draft ready to go. So, Shane, please, I do put us through the paces here. And Nexo did go first.
Okay, El Nexo, they banned out the Illidan. Obviously, Illidan is a staple hero no matter what side of the pond you are playing on. And then Red Pandas banning out the Zeratul. The Zeratul is a much more priority on European than it is on North America. And Red Pandas banned that out. El Nexo known for their great Zeratul play as well. First pick from El Nexo was the Sergeant Hammer, a hero who is widely considered to just be a just amazing DPS hero. Pushing with her is so strong. Her lane presence is incredible. Her only one minor weakness is that she can be slightly immobile at times. However, it's easily compensated through just smart play with the rest of your team and strong communication. Red Pandas picked up Uther Vala. Vala being probably the strongest assassin in the game. Not only assassin, but just damage dealer as a whole. I know in recent tournaments, she's had some upwards of 95% win rates when she was picked in the first phase. Uther, obviously, the man needs no introduction. The follow-up pickup from El Nexo was Witch Doctor and Stitches. Again, no introduction there. Pretty standard stuff coming out from these teams. And then the double warrior pickup from Red Pandas, ETC and Diablo. So a big front line, a lot of initiation, a lot of dive. Basically, Red Pandas throwing a dive-heavy composition in there, and they supplemented it well with a Tassadar, who obviously always synergizes well with any sort of melee, whether he's a melee assassin or melee warrior. And that works out well because they're going to be able to get into the back lines, deal with that Sergeant Hammer as effectively as they can, and hopefully pick them off before the Sergeant Hammer is able to do too much damage in these team fights.
So a little bit less of a protect the hammer comp, more just kind of protect the siege coming out there from El Nexo. But they did pick up the Malfrey and Tyrande at the end of it all. And Red Pandas, as you said, they're looking really beefy on that front line, not only the Uther, but the Diablo and the ETC. They are going to be trying to just get into that back line here of El Nexo. We're going to have to see if they have enough appeal to do it. Teams are ready to go, I believe. Stream is all set and ready. And we're going to be getting into our first game of the day. Heroes draft tool looks, I gotta say, pretty bloody amazing at this point. It's even better when we get to do it live. Unfortunately, again, we weren't able to provide that for you today. Do apologize, but still, the draft's going back and forth. I'm a little skeptical about Red Pandas right now because they only do have the Vala DPS. It's really going to be up to this ETC, up to this Archon to kind of really supplement that. And if they can, they will do good work. But it is Dragonshire, man, and Dragonshire is a Sergeant Hammer favorite. It's definitely a specialist favorite as well. We're into the game. We have started it up. Guys, we are about to jump in to Dragonshire. El Nexo and Red Pandas, our first EU match at 9:30 in the morning across the pond. Man, nothing like some good old-fashioned early morning heroes.
One of us may have almost been late due to getting coffee. We won't talk about that, though. Getting into the stream here with the early morning, and I love it, man. I'm an early morning boy. I've always been an early riser, so these sort of things are well facilitated for me. Ladies and gentlemen, get hyped for the first match for the Heroes.gosu Cup this morning in North America, or afternoon if you're hailing from Europe. On the left side of your map, we're going to have the Falcon playing Sergeant Hammer, Stitches being played by Ryo, Vortex playing the beautiful Master Skin Tyrande, Mr. Gran, on the Malfurion, and Black Corpse on the Nazeebo Witch Doctor.
I always think of Grand Parakeet. I don't know why.
I'm totally going to be saying that.
Grand Parakeet. He might kill me for that, so let's not do that. Ilu on the Diablo, going to be representing here with the red for the Red Pandas. AEX with the Tassadar, and the party lane is forming up here with Lunth. Wow, some of these names are actually really fun. Akamine and Aristina. Right. Canadian accents. I'm putting out the disclaimer right now. If I butchered your name, I will send you an apology with maple syrup.
There you go, right there. So, ladies and gentlemen, the gates are down. The lanes are taking shape. We're not seeing any big four-man mid pushes to push the lane in. It looks like, just as you mentioned, the Mexican standoff party lane in the bottom lane. The Tassadar, who is obviously one of the best soul laners in the game, push lanes in, can mitigate pushes, and is hard to gank. going on as well. The lane I want to talk a little bit about though, is top lane. I feel like Diablo is completely the weak one in this 1v1 matchup. Sergeant Hammer is going to be able to boss him out of lane as long as Falcon plays smart. He can be able to control that shrine and really dictate the flow of this lane up in the top.
And, you know, already we're seeing a little bit of a different style. I mean, if you take a Sergeant Hammer on a Dragon Shard, we typically see her bottom. But, you know, this round it is the Tyrande down there with the Nazeebo. Nazeebo not out trying to solo everything. And it is, of course, you know, that Hammer in the 1v1. But she is doing work. She is keeping Ilu at bay and keeping him a little bit lower on his hit points. And going back and forth, yeah, it's actually working out extremely well. That Diablo not really able to put up too much of an early game fight. But the bottom lane, because, again, you know, we had that Stitches, we got the Tyrande there. They've also now started roaming, and that bottom lane is completely the Red Pandas right now.
Yep, they're playing well. Malfurion is in a lot of trouble here. He knows he can't get to the safety of his gate. Retreats northwards to the bushes and is able to get away safely. It could have gone awry for them, but smart play, knowing that he wasn't forcing the issue with the gate, went ahead, swept up north, and able to get away. Same deal down south. Black Corp is going to get initiated on, going to throw down a zombie wall. Got to be careful. He's going to back up, hit the showers, heal up, get back in lane, get experience. Level 4's here.
Gotta love that hungering arrow is just immediately on a dime turns right goes for those zombie walls. Zombie walls can definitely be a little bit of a havoc there for a single target Vala, but today it is going to be a multi-shot build as she has now taken both arsenal as well as composite arrows. And in terms of the builds going back and forth, I mean, we do see now the bit more of a favored Ranger's mark there from Tyrande. You know, Vortex is going to get a little bit of initiation upon here, but throwing out the owl in there, turning this back. Malfurion come to join the fray. And we're looking for this shrine because, again, you know, top Falcon has just been holding it down like a boss. This will put Dragon pressure now on top of Red Pandas.
Down in the bottom lane, ETC completely caught out of position. There's the Hunter's Mark, followed up by the Lunar Flare. And ladies and gentlemen, there is the first blood of this game and of this tournament going the way of El Nexo there. So a good job for them getting that experience advantage, which they already had, utilizing it appropriately. And now they have control of these both shrines, and there's a little bit of a contention up in the Dragon.
Yep, and Rio, he's going to come up here. I mean, Tastar can do some really good delay work. He has a lot of tools at his disposal in order to stop this from happening. But, you know, Rio, not exactly the biggest DPSer. He's going to eventually just bully out the Tastar. There's really nothing Diablo has actually done into the top lane, especially up against Falcon. And even then, you know, they come in for the gank, and Falcon just able to put those thrusters on blast. And it's not really too much of an issue. So far this early game, we do have the experience lead for El Nexo. They got this Dragon here into the mid, and they're going to be starting to, you know, really start working away at some of these towers.
Yep, level 7 big talent advantage right there with a relatively early game at Dragon Knight. He's not going to be able to boss around the lane too much. Maybe get a tower or two. Tassador's doing what he can to keep those towers up. Bottom lane, ETC, once again, he's got to be really careful. El Nexo's diving underneath Red Panda's towers and still bossing Red Pandas around. A great hook onto the Vala. Can they follow it up? They can. A couple right clicks from the Witch Doctor, plus an owl coming up from the Tyrande secures them the second kill of the match.
Stitches and Tyrande together. I mean, that's a hook stun combo, and Black Corp there. I mean, I want to say that was in Venom, but he doesn't actually have it. It was just the Gathering Power and his Voodoo. I mean, that's just how much damage that was able to really instant and kill that Valley. It was really good to see. And now look at this body block.
Yeah.
ETC's not even going to get through that gate. Wow, right now it's just a clinic on early game pressure from El Nexo.
Yep, and the whole time the Dragon Knight was able to get both of the tier 1 towers in the mid lane. And El Nexo is a level and a half up. They're going to be getting their heroics any second now. They completely bossed this middle lane. The Stitches Tyrande being played to perfection there. And it is showing its response right there. Also, top lane is being bossed as well. I felt like Red Pandas really needed to switch this lane up. Maybe put Diablo mid lane, swing Tassador up there. Tassador can do a little bit better with the Sergeant Hammer, but their response is a little bit too slow as the damage has been done.
As a note, this is a best of 1. It is not 2-0 for El Nexo. It is actually 0-0. Do apologize about that. Testing data that I forgot to cleanse. That is on the forecourt idiot. Don't worry about that.
Looking at the heroics now that they're here. Oh, a great hook onto the Vala, followed up by the Lunar Flare. And you can tell they have that well practiced, well executed. Another gank on the way. 4 kills to 0. Big old goose egg hanging over Red Pandas. They got to get themselves a kill, got to get themselves on the map. Looking at the talents, it looks like the battle momentum build coming out from the Diablo. A little bit of a hybrid build right there, but it's a level 7. Usually go with the battle momentum or the combat trait talent as well. That helps out his Soulstone or Resurrection. But obviously, he's going with a little bit more of aggressive build. You already have a frontline warrior able to soak up damage, so you don't necessarily have to go out full defensive, full Resurrection mode. Hook onto Tassadar. He's going to be able to dimensional shift away from that bottom lane. And look at this pressure bottom lane, Sean. A Siege Ogre camp, a Bruiser camp. This fort is absolutely dead to rights.
It is. It's very dead to rights. And I got to be looking at this Witch Doctor. He has not selected a heroic. He's just saying, all right, if it's going to be Apocalypse, I'm going to not take Ravenous, I guess. Yep. But it's not going to be an Apocalypse. It was actually a Lightning Breath, just now talented out by Diablo players. So it will be a Ravenous. You know, it would be extremely interesting to see my first game EU to go the way of a Gargantuan.
They have been known to run themselves a Gargantuan, Sean. I have seen it before.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Right now, though, El Nexo is absolutely doing some work. They got this map pressure. They immediately grab out those shrines. That bottom pressure had to get cleaned up here by the Red Pandas. And now, once more, we have a Dragon Knight marching down the mid. And, you know, 13 hype has now been achieved because we are that far ahead. This is a talent tier advantage, and this could go disastrously for the Pandas.
Especially with the sort of strategy that they're running. They're obviously going with a little bit of a wombo combo style here, which, judging by their draft, isn't too surprising. Obviously, the Mosh Pit, Rain of Vengeance, the Lightning Breath as well. If all those line up accordingly, Red Pandas can just take out the entire team of El Nexo if El Nexo's positioning isn't on point. But when you're down by 2 levels, if you don't have enough damage to take them out in the wombo combo, and they still are, maybe even with 1 person down, they can turn a team fight around and just walk all over you. Speaking of team fights, good lord, a double man Lunar Flare followed up by an immediate Ravenous Spear. 2 down right off the bat for Red Pandas. Make it 3 as Uther was in the back line, cut away from the rest of his team. Now the march down mid lane with a 3-level advantage, going the way of El Nexo and Sean. They are putting on a clinic right now, performing very, very well, and they are just in a great, great spot.
So that level 13, that Lunar Blaze, man, increased the range and the impact area. I mean, that caught them the double kill, Ravenous. We had the Starfall go down immediately, and then a very, very late after that, we had the Uther just kind of on the wrong side of the scrimmage, and he goes down as well. 7 kills to 0. Pandas are still looking to put a point there on the board, and it is just... As I said, back at the draft, I have reservations about this comp. They need to look for the dive. They need to get into that Ravenous. They need to, you know, stop out the siege. But so far, it has just not been something that has happened.
Their single target damage is a little underwhelming, but they have a lot of AoE, like I said, wombo combo. If they're able to execute it well, they definitely can get themselves a kill, but they are in a very bad spot, almost 2 talent tiers down. There is a initiation on Taron, but there's a Tranquility falling up, just healing all of the damage, completely mitigating it. There's a 2-man mosh pit, but there's just not enough damage. Interrupted. There's the Lightning Breath, but Diablo gets taken out with the Hunter's Mark. Uther going down in the backline as well, and once again, El Nexo is just in autopilot right now. There's a late Ravenous Spirit just used to secure the kill onto ETC. Level 16 on the horizon for El Nexo. 3 down for Red Pandas. And this is El Nexo's match, El Nexo's map to take control of.
That was actually a 4-kill fight because of the Diablo 5-second resurrect.
Yes.
He's now back into the top lane trying to mitigate this bruiser pressure. So not only is it the bottom lane kills and the top lane pressure, they go immediately for core. They got an SMG right now. The Red Pandas, I mean, they all did just resurrect, but at 60% and counting, I mean, it's a 4-level difference. The ults are real, and this core has been absolutely shredded out, Shane. We're having a 9.5-minute first round win here for El Nexo in our first Enter the Storm Cup, and they made it look easy. My goodness, that was a display of power.
That was El Nexo. Felt like they just outclassed Red Pandas, to put it lightly. They outplayed them in every single manner. Their laning configuration was was just next level. Putting that Sergeant Hammer in the top lane, knowing that either the Diablo or the ETC was going to be in that top lane position. That's usually you put a good solo warrior sustain in that position. The Sergeant Hammer absolutely just completely countered that sort of play right there. That enabled them to get a very good early game advantage, a good grasp on the map, allowed them to rotate freely from mid lane to bottom lane, getting themselves a gank with the stitches that Tyrande. Sometimes even with the hook not landing, they were still able to get a good kill off with a good well-placed zombie wall. So the early game translating to good mid game just kind of snowballed from there. Well played by El Nexo.
Oh man, like it was kills and kills and kills. I think it was 11-0 by the end of it all. Man,
Yes.
they didn't give up they didn't give up an entire kill. They didn't take really any kind of fort damage. And the damage comp, I had a little bit of reservation about the solo tank stitches, but I mean, they got the hooks into the Tyrans that got the kills. They had the roots in that, and nobody ever really touched the Ravenous. And the siege tank was virtually unganked in that top lane. It was beautiful. It was great. So Nexo win. They move on. And that means that we're going to be looking for ourselves our next game. A lot of games to be covered today, ladies and gentlemen. And as the results trickle in, we will be letting you know. And now that we have gotten the ball rolling, hopefully it won't be too long. And we'll be back with game number 2 of our coverage today. So, guys, don't go anywhere.